All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Greaseball Sports Card Talk. I know it's been a little bit. Both of us have been kind of busy with some personal stuff. Say what's up to everyone, Jared.
What's going on, everybody?
So today we got a few interesting topics to talk about. We're going to talk about kind of the NBA playoffs, the play-in, season recap, all that good jazz. Some Greaseball Sports Card business updates that we have, and then talk about kind of the current spiking environment for cards, as well as kind of some of the decline we're seeing. But it should be a quick, easy episode. So we're going to start it off with the NBA playoffs, since I know both of us have it in the background playing. What's your thoughts on kind of the playoffs, this play-in tournament, and just kind of the season recap?
So number one, I think the play-in tournament is great. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but the last games of the season that happened on Sunday, nobody besides, I think, the Spurs in the 10th spot, or the 9th spot, and one other team in the East, nobody really knew what place they were going to be because of the way the games were taking place and how close everything was. So there was a lot of things where, in the past, the last 5 games of the season don't matter at all. Right. Mm-hmm. People don't play any stars. They don't care. And some of that happened, obviously, with teams not making the playoffs or even close to the play-in. But a lot of times it was when teams were in the playoffs and they had their spot, it was guaranteed. They weren't trying to get their players injured, so they would play nobody the last 3 to 5 games of the season. This season was the exact opposite. Obviously, we had a really close season across the board. Nobody was truly a favorite at the end of the season. Number one. But number two, people were jockeying to get out of the play-in. They didn't want to be in the play-in spot, obviously. They wanted the guaranteed spot 1 through 6. And it was great to see basketball continuing at the end of the season versus where it usually is like winding down and it's garbage man time, right? So I think that was great. I think the play-in's awesome. I know there's been some negatives from some of the NBA players about it. LeBron James was against it. The Dallas Mavericks owner, Mark Cuban, was against it, though they did all fully support it in the beginning of the season. As they kind of hit a downward spiral in their team's records, they were against it. So I think it's great. Like I said, I'm watching it right now. I know you are as well. Watched last night's games. Charlotte played, obviously, just a quick recap of that game. Really, really bad. Indiana really smoked them. I'm curious to see what Indiana does. Obviously, Celtics won yesterday. Was it yesterday? It wasn't yesterday.
It was.
It was yesterday. Tatum put up 50. It looked really, really good. So you got Wizards right now playing the Pacers for the 8th spot.
Yep, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. I think that's going to be a great game. The Pacers played really, really well against the Charlotte team, which isn't the greatest, but at the same time, the Wizards didn't really play that great against the Celtics. Then we obviously have today's games to see what happens. Spurs were getting destroyed by about 20 first quarter, and let's see, they're only down by 4 right now. We got 8 minutes left, so a lot could happen, and I'm curious to see what happens. I love the play, and I think it's great for competition. I think it's great for a lot of people don't watch the NBA regular season because it's boring. They just wait for the playoffs. And I think the play-in gave people more reason to want to watch what's actually going on this season a little bit more towards the end rather than not watch it.
I think you hit the nail on the head for a lot of things. I think I'll start off with kind of the stars of the league weighing in on the play-in. I know LeBron, Cuban, Luka, a few others, even some retired players as well, kind of saying, they didn't really get the play-in. They didn't understand it. I mean, this is clearly better for basketball. I think about, the Los Angeles Lakers. They didn't care about it, at the start of the season. Then you got LeBron going out for 20-plus games, AD going out for 35-plus games, find themselves in the 7th seed against the 8th seed Warriors tonight. I think it's probably going to be the one single game of basketball, unless there's a game 7 this year. That's probably the most important game, in my opinion. I think you have a lot of players that just weighed in on the season. Obviously it was a little bit shorter than a regular season. You have injuries piled up. Seen one of the worst injury years in history for basketball. Almost every single star, really, besides Curry and Jokic,
yeah.
Yeah, and they were even hurt a little bit, but I really don't think many stars played a full season. And I think this year you really seen like that toll of the bubble and all that jazz, the shortened break weigh in. I think it's surprising some of the seeds if you look back at the start of the season predictions. You know, the Knicks, one of my favorite teams, up in the 4th seed. Super big surprise. The Utah.
When's the last time they made the playoffs?
2013 with Carmelo Anthony.
Okay.
And with the Utah Jazz, I mean, they were a good team last year. No one says anything bad about them. But to be the number 1 team this year in the West out of all the teams, I mean, you got to do something right. And they had a great year. You know, hopefully they can put something together. But you know my prediction as far as the playoffs. So yeah, you know, it's definitely interesting to see everything kind of going on, you know, in general. And I think kind of just now a little bit of transitioning into kind of the current market and, you know, what we're doing, you know, as far as Greaseball and all that jazz. Kind of give us an update on what we're doing, kind of, Jared.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, right now we're working on building our break page. It's been something that is we definitely need to spend a little bit more time on, but it's kind of a grind. There's a lot of people who are breaking right now because the market was so hot with sports cards. So we are trying to do you know, a break page where we're doing, I don't know how many breaks a week, but we want to do, you know, I would say maybe 5 to 10 breaks on a weekly basis with newer products, older products, and have fun with it. We're not obviously not out to make a ton of money. It's just more to get like a following and kind of build the Greaseball brand, I think is the key of what we're doing. Right now, I believe we have, and we were just talking about it earlier, we have about, I think, 20 to 30 members in the break page. At 50, we're going to do a giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a break's concerned, a free, you know, first, you know, do 30 teams and first 30 spots claimed. I would guess we haven't really talked about it, but you know, do a couple different sports, maybe a Bowman blaster, hoops blaster, Donruss blaster, something, you know, a little bit lower end, but still at the same time, probably what, $100 to $200 in actual value. For our new people who have joined our break page, and then kind of build from there. Obviously, maybe we'll do a thing where we'll just definitely do this. So like everybody that you invite to the group for the break page will get an extra spot into the break. I think that's fair. You know, obviously don't just invite random people. We want to have discussions going on in the break page. We want to have you know, different people who are collectors, new collectors, old collectors, anybody who's actually interested in sports cards. We don't have a problem maybe even mentoring some of these people into some products. We've done that in the past singly and help people. So I think it's, you know, building the name and really growing the page to where I think we can definitely get it to. That's pretty much one of our biggest Greaseball kind of goals right now.
Yeah, I think that's very true. You know, you hit the nail on the head with, you know, probably doing 4 to 5 breaks a week, not doing a super big ton. Obviously, we have personal stuff going on, families, work, leagues of golf, etc. You know, so we're going to try to do it as well as we can. I think one thing that, you know, really was a new thing for us, we actually found out at the Saginaw show that it's capable of doing. We will be partnering with the SICK Facebook page. We're going to be doing some breaks, razzes, etc. on their page coming up. We're working with Joel, who's the admin and runner of that page, getting that set up. So that's cool. Looking forward to
They have 50,000 plus members right now.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously a big market.
Yeah, huge market. And then just with us in the card shows, this week we're in Jackson. The following week's New Baltimore. So I mean, I know I'll be in Jackson, and I know you're going up north pending the weather.
Yep.
And then New Baltimore, we'll probably both be down there in some capacity, as well as Zach and all that. So I think that's, you know, at least for the immediate future, that's kind of our card show plans. And then just kind of transitioning into kind of the current market of cards. You know, we talk about this every day. You're in 16 group chats, I'm in 16 group chats, etc. every day we're looking at cards, we're comping cards, we're looking at what's hot, what's not. What's the current outlook for these cards? Why are people saying they're down right now?
Well, I mean, I think there's a lot of different things that you could use as indifferences to why the sports market cards overall have went down. I would say, I mean, there's a ton of factors. So I think number one, I think they were overhyped. I think stuff was almost to an insane value. You were seeing people. Great example. I just seen a guy get like a couple hundred of those Revolution quote unquote LeBron James rookie cards in his Lakers uniform graded, and he got back a bunch of tens. So people, the hype of stuff was really building up products, and the value just wasn't there with the production. Base cards, what the Prism 1920 Prism LeBron base 10 was like 250, 300. There was a lot of hype around some of these cards that we all know there shouldn't really be the hype around. It's this, 19th year Prism card. People aren't getting excited about that. So I think the hype has kind of finally settled down. I think at points it was at almost even too high of a market really for anybody to fathom. If you look, even hobby boxes have started to come down a little bit, which I think is great for the collecting community to be able to actually buy a hobby box. Also, I think, money has started to kind of stop trickling back. Unemployment stopped in some places. Stimulus funds are done. I think that's kind of hurt maybe some of the hype on people who were just spending money because it was free money. I got $4,200 from my family of three today. I can go buy a $2,000 card or a couple of $500 cards. My wife's not going to get mad because it's free money. And you're seeing that money run out. I think those are probably two of the biggest things. And obviously we've talked about it a lot. There's a ton of different factors I think you could talk about. So I think those are two of mine though.
Yeah. Card money kind of running out a little bit, overpopulating of cards. PSA is, with their suspension of services, getting cards back. I think a lot of the market was so inflated because of the holdback from PSA. So like you said, the 1819 Revolution LeBron, if there was only 1,000 PSA 10s, that's cool. But, they made 400,000 of his cards,
Yeah.
Everyone grades them and they come back 10s, it's going to lower the market. Just like
I think the pop report on that, not to interrupt you, because I seen a guy who had him and the pop report was like 20,000 plus on that card of 10s.
Yeah. And that's not going to be worth it. I mean, in the long run. I know I have a few like random cards of LeBron and I don't even care about the value, but I've seen their value go 200%, 300% down. Luka stuff, not really seeing the spike a lot of us predicted, with playoffs, but also when you're returning back 1,000 10s a week in a Prism 10, it's understandable. The colors are going up. I think that's really where the market's going. The lower number, serial number, color variation, etc. cards, the low pops will always went out. And then just other things you said, this, with unemployment and stuff going on, the stimulus money, but also like NFTs are kind of becoming a thing. I know we just went over through the crypto market and the crypto, rush of everyone buying Doge, Ethereum, Bitcoin, etc. And so they're doing other things, and obviously summer's coming, and really besides the NBA playoffs starting, there hasn't really been something exciting, because really the playoffs aren't super exciting until the championship. I mean, or even the conference finals.
Say at least conference finals. Yeah. Nobody really cares about the first round.
Most of the first round's predetermined. You have a few games that are shocking, but other than that, like I said, the Warriors versus Lakers tonight, game of the year potential. I think just in general, that's a lot of reason why there's nothing really exciting. The Olympics is coming up. I think that'll get some cards going. Baseball season heating up. Who are you? And that kind of brings us to the other end. With all sports included, football, hockey, baseball, and even NBA, because there will be some spikes in that. Who are you buying? Who do you think is going up? What do you got for the people?
So it's a funny one today, and the only reason I had to actually Google translate her name so I could pronounce it correctly. I think maybe I got it. Sabrina Ionescu. She's balling right now. WNBA, we don't talk about it a lot. You know, she had a Prism card last year. It was the first run of WNBA Prism. You know, not a lot. There was some hype initially surrounded by Prism and WNBA, and it died down very quickly. COVID happened, and like WNBA really shut down hardcore. She came in, I think it was the first or second game of the season, had a triple double. Not a lot of people know stats about WNBA probably, but nobody's ever had two triple doubles in a regular season in the WNBA. She had one her first couple games. Something you don't see. If you look, her stuff is starting to go up. A great example is WNBA retail Prism blasters were about a $50 box about 2 months ago. They are selling for about $100 right now.
Really?
So so they went up 100%. Her silvers, her a base Prism of hers about 100. I want to say they were like a $35, $15 purchase.
As a 10 or
base.
Okay.
Yeah, just a base of her raw is about $100. Looking at comps that I just looked at right before, because I've been kind of tracking her, so I have picked up a few of her on eBay. I picked up some of her prior to this happening because I kind of seen it happening, because I think she's a really good player. She's obviously in a huge market. Kind of a strange one because I know maybe WNBA doesn't have a huge following like other sports does, but obviously right now in the sports card industry, people are looking for the next person to be very successful and do well. And I think, you know, in the WNBA, she has it and has a good following. So you're seeing a huge spike in her prices, and I think you'll continue to see it this year.
Okay. Anyone else you got over there in the Jared head?
You know, so I have a few ideas for a few people. I'm kind of curious. Watching the Spurs game, a huge Spurs fan. I think there's some really like low level rookies where from 1920, 2021 who are in the playoffs. And it's not really just one person. It's like 10 people. It doesn't really matter who it is. I think if you see any of them have a good game, like Keldon Johnson's having a phenomenal game with this game that's on right now. I think Peyton Pritchard, RJ Barrett. I think there's like a multitude of people who have been rookies this year and last year who are in the playoffs. We don't really see, I mean, who's the biggest name in the playoffs right now from the last 2 years? We won't do 17, 18, just 18, 19, 19, 20. Who's the biggest name that's on a playoff team that's like a guaranteed spot right now?
RJ Barrett.
RJ Barrett. That's it. And Trae Young.
I mean, Luka, obviously, but
Luka, he's known.
Exactly. DeAndre Ayton. I mean, if you don't consider 18, 19, you just take 18, 19 out. I mean, really, the only 19, 20 really is RJ. I mean, but off the top of my head, I'm trying to think down. Miles Bridges, no, he was 18, 19.
Yeah. I mean, there's nobody. I mean, really, 19, 20 and 2021. There's nobody who is the guy, right? Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball, Zion. Ja's obviously playing. If they win this game, which looks like, I mean, they're up by 5. They're up by 7 with 3 minutes left, so they'll probably win this game. But are they going to beat Golden State or the Lakers? I mean, come on. I don't think.
Yeah, the answer is no.
I mean, if they beat the Lakers, I'd be excited, but I don't.
Well, I don't know how that's going to happen. The Lakers aren't losing to the Warriors, but we're not going to get into that. I just think just to finish up, just really any of those guys who are, maybe not the RJ Barretts of the world, some of those like lower end, like don't start players from the last 2 years. I think you're going to see a spike because we know how hype works in the sports card industry. If one guy, Tyler Hero, great example of spiking. He had a crazy game in the finals, made a 3-point shot to win the game, played great in the finals, and now he comes off the bench and averages 12 points a game. So any hype I would just tell people, watch these games, follow the hype, and really, I've listed cards in the middle of a game because I'm like, man, this guy's killing it. It's the conference finals. I wake up in the morning and those cards are sold for triple to what they were posted for on eBay, just for the simple fact that the hype is there. So that's what I would tell everybody. Yeah. And I know I figured as much as you would have mostly basketball, because I know that's your primary, thing. So I kind of made a list and I put it together and did some comp research as well, some stuff that I'm personally looking at. So two baseball guys, or three. I'm going to go three baseball guys. You have probably the greatest player of our generation, Mike Trout. He just got hurt. He's out for probably about 10 weeks with a calf strain. His cards saw a dip now recently. I think you can buy the dip. He's a perennial, 330 hitter. Eloy Jimenez and Luis Robert from the Chicago White Sox, both hurt. Both will come back for the stretch run in August. You'll see them very much have a spike in their cards. Lewis was having a great season. I have no doubt Eloy is going to come back and dominate like he always does. And soccer, Ansu Fati, he tore his ACL, but coming back this year, he's looking like pretty good. I have a few of his PSA 10 Topps Chrome, looking really good for him. And then in the football world, it's really a toss-up. I think two options you have. You have, obviously the rookie quarterback class of last year with Joe Burrow. Could go with him, bet on him, or you can go with Carson Wentz, who's going to the Indianapolis Colts. For price point, they're two hot cards that are for sure starters, that are for sure going to have some peak interest during the football, start of the season. But I mean, really with football, any quarterback not named Patrick Mahomes or Tom Brady, go in there, buy them. You're going to see hype, sell at the hype, don't sell at the hype, your choice. But that's who I would stick with as far as kind of a well-rounded, more, sports updater, besides basketball.
For sure. No, yeah, I agree. I think quarterbacks this year for NFL are going to be kind of insane. And I think there's a lot of people you could probably bet on that there's going to be a couple of games or a hype thing, just like with basketball with some of these second-tiered, third-tiered rookies that are going to come out and do some insane stuff. So no, I agree.
Mm-hmm. And, I think that's pretty good. And then, I mean, we'll definitely get talking about more of the basketball off season and some of the Olympics and kind of later in the next week, or, maybe a little bit later this week on another episode. But as far as that, kind of lasting thoughts, anything that you want to bring up before we kind of sign off?
No, Spurs are down by 6, a minute 44 left. I think their season is finished, but that's a lot of time in the NBA, so we'll see. But no, I'm just excited for the NBA playoffs. I'm excited for football to start. I know it's a ways away. Just excited. Honestly, I love NBA playoffs. It's like Christmas time for me, so just enjoying watching basketball.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I'm very happy to watch some playoff basketball as well as kind of seeing games in person. Got to go see a baseball game in person yesterday. Pumped about that. Just going to remind everyone, throw us a like, throw us a follow, throw us a subscribe. Greaseball Sports Cards on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube, obviously. Throw us that, and we appreciate it. Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.